Hello, is anyone out there? Hey, I see myself. I hear myself. Let's try this again. Yeah, I'm listening. All right, good morning. I think I'm live. I think we've got our connection figured out. I was saying we're going to give it a couple more days on this Wi-Fi network connection and see if it improves, or if it doesn't improve, then we're going to figure out plan B so that we can just hit the ground running with these kids with hybrid learning on Monday. And so I really appreciate everybody's patience in working through all of these little kinks. Seems like it's been issue after issue with this live stream stuff. So somebody brought up the fact yesterday that now we are seeing what these kids have been struggling with and going through, and I would say yes, absolutely, but it's probably more so the fact that I live out in the middle of the mountains, and so I'm dealing with a rural Wi-Fi streaming capability. So yeah, here we are. Let's try this. All right. So today is Wednesday, the 10th of March, and we have a fully packed show today. Fully packed show. We've got some fun things happening. As always, we're going to have Mr. Mack in to talk about all the activities and things going on around the school. What the students are up to, both in sports and also in other activity land. Mr. Lewis, who is an awesome teacher at the high school, he is a history government teacher. He's going to be joining us every Wednesday, 7:45, doing his history lesson, or mysteries of history, or this day in history, whatever we want to call it. I'm not even sure what we're going to call it yet, but Eric Lewis is going to just he's, like I said, a great guy. He's going to be with us today and every Wednesday to talk about some stuff history related. So, and then Wednesdays, Coach Crow is going to start giving his football update for us every single Wednesday. So Coach Crow will be here at 8 o'clock, and then we have the district. The representatives from the district, whether it's Mr. Asplund or Mr. Burnett, Andy, joining us today. So looking forward to that. Yesterday's show was great. We had, again, connectivity issues. There were some problems with the feed, both on my end and the audio as well. And so I apologize for that. I said at the top of the broadcast, I'm going to give it a couple more days with this Wi-Fi connection and see if we can get it figured out. I've got it kind of wired differently this morning. If I can't resolve the issues here, what I'm going to do is go to plan B and take the show off site somewhere in town with a wired connection that I can have some high speed streaming capabilities, because like I said, this is a platform that's been created for you guys, the community, and it's only as good as its weakest link. And right now, the weakest link is obviously the Wi-Fi link. So I apologize for that. Let's see. Mr. Mack was on yesterday. We had NHRA drag racing champion Doug Gordon, who's also a Templeton Eagle, also an Eagle dad, and a business owner, community member in our North County. And so that was great to kind of get to know him and put a face to the name. Doug Gordon, thanks for coming on yesterday. We had Miles Martinelli on yesterday. Miles was from representing the drama program for Templeton High School, talking about what it's been like to do distance learning, and specifically as it relates to the drama program and the activities that they've been involved with. And so Miles talked through some of the online performances that they did, the pre-tape performance they did last year for Drowsy Chaperone, and then the production they just finished, and then the production that's coming up, which is Young Frankenstein. And I was traveling yesterday, so I didn't get a chance to kind of do the follow-up online and put all my show notes and plugs on the Facebook page, but I'll do that today. I had to drive down to LA and back in one day after the show yesterday. So I'll get caught up on all of that today. I'll put some news on the Facebook page and then also on Instagram. So like I said, Young Frankenstein is Templeton High School drama production. It starts next Thursday, and it runs for 2 consecutive weekends, Thursday through Sunday, I believe. I'll have to check on that, but I think it's something like that. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 2 weekends in a row. That's what it is. We also had Templeton FFA students and officers, Katie Simonin and Cody Kuster, coming in to talk about how FFA has been impacted with distance learning, and some of the stuff that they're looking forward to coming up, and talking about the program as a whole. And so we appreciate them coming on. That was great to see them. And I really appreciated the fact that they were actually representing the FFA in uniform. That was cool to see. And that's a neat club program for students to be involved in. Speaking personally, my wife and I both grew up here in the North County, and neither one of us were involved in any kind of agricultural activities at all. And so, when we moved back here, we got our kids involved at their request. They wanted to be they wanted to have those experiences of raising animals and being in those programs. And those programs are just unbelievable for what they teach the kids in terms of leadership and life skills. And so it was really cool to see kind of what it's done for those 2 students who are representing Templeton well, not only on a local level, but also on a regional level too, with Cody being a regional officer or sectional. I think it's regional, but I could be wrong. So we had the principal of the high school on yesterday, Josh Aston. Josh is an amazing guy. He serves our country as a reserve, as a reserve officer, and then full time he serves our community and our school as the principal of the high school. And so Josh was giving us kind of a rundown of what we can expect with distance learning with hybrid learning, and as we roll into this next phase coming up this week. And so Mr. Aston's going to be joining us every single week, so that'll be great. And then we had just some general conversation and news and stuff like that. So yeah, I drove down to LA yesterday. As I said, I had a really close, dear friend of mine who I consider a big brother, and worked in radio with him for years. I was actually a producer for his morning show, and he's still on the radio in LA. He's come down with some kind of illness, and so I drove down to be with him yesterday, and was able to catch up with him and a couple of friends. So that was nice. But back today, and I'm so glad that we live here and not in LA, because don't get me wrong, I love the city, I love Los Angeles, but this is a special place to be in and come home to every single day. So yeah, that was my Tuesday. Good morning. All right, so I've got a lot of news and fun stuff to go over. We've got as the state starts to continue to reopen, and our county's in a new tier. It seems like there's quite a bit of activities coming online that are out and about through the community. And so one thing I'm going to do is I had a podcast before that was targeted on on one of the businesses that I was a part of, and so we had a thing called it was like segment called Out and About. And a buddy of mine, Garrett, who's a Bearcat, he grew up with me, played football, great guy. Garrett would give us the rundown kind of on a weekly basis of what's happening out and about around town. And so Garrett's going to actually start, or he's going to start doing that for us Thursdays and Fridays, giving us the community calendar of what to do out and about around town. But so I'm looking forward to adding him into the mix tomorrow and Fridays as well. So, but I've got a list of things that I've come up with that are happening in and around town today. But first, I'll just give you the weather. Cloudy, scattered showers today with a high of 50. Expecting clouds and scattered showers through tomorrow, and the sun is just peeking through the window right now. But it is nice to have that that rainfall that kind of just keeps the dust down, keeps the hills green. Now, and I know people are saying it's not enough. We need more. We need more. You're absolutely right. We do need more, but I will say this. I like the amount that we're getting personally. It's just enough for me. So, but I personally am a summer guy. I cannot wait till it's 120,000 degrees outside. I love the heat. Love it. Okay, so what's happening outside in town today? Or online. There's lots of online events all the time as well. So Moonstone Cellars is out in Cambria. They do an open mic online. It's tonight. It's a fundraiser actually to benefit the Estero Bay Kindness Coalition. It's a Facebook event. So go on to Facebook and do search for Moonstone Cellars. It's from 6 to 8. If you want to open a bottle of wine and listen to an open mic night via Zoom, Moonstone Cellars has that for you. Also, a foundation that I'm a part of, the California Mid-State Fair Heritage Foundation. If you are a member, there's a members meeting tonight at 6:30, and that's also a Zoom meeting. If you are a member and you don't have the information, but you want to be a part of the meeting, feel free to hit me up, and I will send that information to you. That's 6:30 tonight. It started yesterday. It's still going on. It's going on through the 14th. It's the SLO International Film Festival. It's happening now online at slowfilmfest.org, so you can check that out. And we're still rolling. We've got lots of stuff. There's a self-care and meditation workshop for stressed moms and caregivers. It's an online event from 4 to 7 today, and it's designed to reduce stress, anxiety, improve sleep, and healing of the mind, body, and spirit. So that is a self-care meditation workshop for stressed moms online. You can go into Facebook in local events and find that one as well to get more information, or you can message me and I'll send you the link to it either way. Also, there's a foundation that's a nonprofit called Rita's Rainbows. Rita's Rainbows is a nonprofit of in memory of Rita Goner, who died tragically in a car accident at 16 years old back 10 years ago or 15 years ago now. But this nonprofit benefits underprivileged children, and so they're doing an ongoing fundraiser down in San Luis Obispo, partnered with Whiz Kids Toys in SLO, and they're creating Easter baskets for underprivileged kids. So that's something cool to do with the kids if you're looking to just head over the grade and find something to do. It's happening now through March 31st. Also, if you've been down to the South County, you see in front of Madonna Inn, there's the Circus Vargas Flying Trapeze experience. That happens daily, 1:15 to 4 p.m. They also have private classes available. You will not catch me taking a private class for being a trapeze artist, but some of you might want to do that and check it out. It's kind of expensive, I think. I mean, I think I saw it was like a one lesson for $500, or I could be wrong, but check it out. It's online. You can Google it. It's probably on Madonna Inn's website as well, but I found it on Facebook in the events section. And so lots more happening today. Toddler and preschooler yoga is happening at the Paso Robles Parks and Rec Department, Centennial Park. It's outdoors. It's socially distanced, ages 1 through 5 with caregivers at 11:15 this morning. I would suggest calling ahead to make sure that they are in fact open. Um, so that will be something that you want to check on. Let's see here. If you're into sewing, so funny story about sewing. When I was young, and if if you listen to my podcast, my podcast is called Love Circus, but I share a story about how growing up in Paso, my mom used to go to this store in town on 14th and Park Street called Cornet, and Cornet was this. They had everything there. It was like this emporium that had tools and knickknacks, and it was like kind of like a mercantile, but they had a wall full, like the whole back of the store was all material. And so my mom used to buy those little material packets to like figure out how to make clothes. So my mom used to sew all my clothes. And so sewing is a lost art, I think. But there's an emporium in Paso called Gatherings Emporium. They have a club called So Much Fun, and they are doing sewing from 2:30 to 8 p.m. today. It's helping to build a community of sewers. All skill levels are welcome, and bring your own machine and project, or they can provide a machine and project for you. So if you are interested in sewing, yeah, we're talking about sewing right now. Let's see. Another kids yoga and mindful art, ages 5 through 10 at Dharma Yoga Loft in Paso Robles today, 2:15 to 3:30. If you want that information, you can message me and I'll shoot it over to you. Or you can also go to pasoyoga.com for more info. Speaking of yoga, yoga therapy and stress for trauma relief. It's an online series that's happening, and 6 p.m. tonight. It's by Brooke West Yoga out of Atascadero. You can search Facebook for Brooke West Yoga and see it's Brooke West Yoga. And so check that out online as well. Today's the third Wednesday of Lent. And so St. William's in Atascadero has a 10:30 online service. If you're interested on that, you can go to YouTube and search St. William's Catholic Church Atascadero and attend their live stream online mass. And then finally, one more yoga thing to talk about. Parent and Me Creative Dance and Yoga at Class Act. That is an 18-month-old program to 3 years old. And that's happening today from 4:15 to 5 p.m. So that's a lot happening. And it's good to see people that are starting to come out and about again to do these activities and put these activities on. So it's really cool. Excuse me. I'm drinking out of my amber mug. I don't know if you guys are coffee drinkers like me. I will tell you this amber mug. I'm not sponsored by Amber Mugs at all, but it's EMBER. It's a mug that my sister-in-law got me for Christmas, and it's amazing because it keeps your coffee at a certain temperature. And so, like right now on my app, hold on. Right now on my app, it's heating my coffee and it's at 119 right now. I like my coffee to be right around like 133. It's perfect temp for me, but now it went up to 120, 119, 120. This mug is talking to my phone and telling the it's basically telling the mug how hot to heat up the coffee. What kind of world are we living in where we can do this? This is pretty crazy to think about, actually. So my word and thought of the day is thankfulness. I'm feeling very thankful this morning for just my general good health, the general good health of my family. Coming back from the visit yesterday with my buddy who's got some sickness is something to really kind of recalibrate myself in my mind and just bring me back to reality of like, hey, be thankful for your situation because it could always be worse. And so I'm feeling super thankful today on this Wednesday. Okay, so Stacy Jeffers, the football, she's a football mom. I guess we can call her the official mom of Templeton High School football. She sent me a note. She said, "Hey, we know this year has looked very different than expected, but the football boys and coaches have worked so hard. We are excited about the upcoming season and want to encourage our fans and community to show Eagle spirit and go green on Fridays." And so that is something that I think we should totally do. I'm going green right now, as in case you can't tell. I'm fully ready for Coach Crow to come on and give us his Wednesday update. I've got my Templeton football. Can you see it? Templeton football sweatshirt. There it is. And my Templeton Eagles hat. But she also sent me a link, Stacy did, to the Templeton Eagles football fan gear site. So I'm going to try screen sharing right now and see if I can run through this site with you. Everybody, this is the Templeton Eagles football fan gear site. And let's see here. Let me see if I could zoom in. There we go. Okay, so we got hats. That's a good looking hat. I like that. That's a classic hat. There it is. Oh, that's nice. All right, so we've got lots of hats available. That's cute. That's a really cool hat here. So let's look at beanie. I'm a big beanie guy. So let's see hats. I mean, this is 15, 18, 24, 26. So anywhere from $15 to $26 you can get a nice hat. What else we got fan gear wise? We have a stadium blanket. This is kind of cool. It's a gray Templeton Eagles stadium blanket. It's $16. It's a roll-up blanket, a tote bag, scarf. That's awesome. And obviously stadium chairs, way cool. Jogger pants. My son comes into my room daily and steals all of my sweats and goes to practice with them. And so I definitely need some jogger pants in my house. So we've got a few different options there. Open bottom with pocket and drawstring, $21. I'm going to post the link to this site on the website, but you can see lots of fan gear here for Templeton Eagles football. Here we go. Let's see here. Stadium replica jersey, youth, men, and women. Okay. I like this little classic jersey tee. That's kind of cool. And I feel like I should run one of those QVC fashion shopping networks. I think that might be something I might look into. I could probably do that for a living. There's another T-shirt here that's just, it looks like black, gray on black. That's kind of cool. Way cool. So lots of gear to choose from on this Templeton Fan Gear website. Long sleeve black tees, forest green tees, sweatshirts. There, I'm a hoodie guy. I love that. That's the one I'm getting. The zip up hoodie. What else? Sherpa vest. Of course, you can't go wrong with a vest. All kinds of great things. Wow. Oh, and for the kiddos as well. That's nice. Baby bib. Way cool. So lots of things. Again, this is the Templeton High School Eagles football fan gear. So I'll post the link to this website, but Stacy is super pumped to get this information out to you guys. And let me see if I can do this here while I'm actually on. Ben says, Mike Rowe Brady, the next QVC host. I think so. I think I'm going to do it. Here, look at that. I just posted the link to the fan gear on the Facebook feed. Let's see if that showed up. Way cool. Mr. Mack, what do you think you're going to get?
That's a tough call. I love sporting the gear. In fact, I've got Templeton Cheer on right now that nice. I'm on. Yesterday I think I had soccer on yesterday. I love. I try to wear whatever whatever's going on that day, I try to
Mhm.
wear the thing to support the squad. You know, it's with them not being on campus until next week. You know, kind of felt kind of anticlimactic, but
Sure.
now that kids are going to be back on campus, definitely got to support them.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You forget about all of the other perks that come along with all of these activities going on, right? Which is, supporting the school with the colors and all of the gear. So I, you know, earlier in the year, I was able to get my hands on a link for the Spirit Pack for cross country.
Oh
And
yeah,
I got a cool beanie and I got a couple masks, which is, so popular right now for obvious
yeah.
reasons. And then what else did I get? I got a awesome pullover that's got like a really bright fluorescent green color on it, which is kind of neat. It's different. But yeah, all kinds of fun Spirit Packs coming out for all these activities and sports. So and so speaking of that, wingmen, what's the status of the wingmen?
Yeah, that's a great question, and
And
I just got
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
no, it's all good. I love the Wingmen. For those of you who don't know, the Wingmen are a spirit group, and they are something. If you haven't been to a Templeton High game, especially something that's kind of compact like a basketball game or volleyball game or football where there's, like a student section, man, those guys get after it. In fact, Mike, I know you know this. Last year, there was our wingmen were nominated for a national award, and we got down to the final 10. And in March last year,
Right.
around the end of March, they invited representatives from each school where they were going to name the winning most spirited spirit squad,
Right.
our wingmen. And we were down to the final 10. And so Mr. Aston and I were trying to figure out a way we were going to get some people there to Disney in Florida, where they were going to name the winner. And then COVID hits, and because of that, we're shut down, and they stopped the contest. So we made it to the final 10, which is as far as we could go. But man, they're good. So to answer your question, Mike, sorry. As soon as we can have a crowd, as soon as we can have people there, they're ready to jump in and fire it up.
And so specifically as it relates to spirit gear, are there wingmen shirts available, or are we doing shirts this year?
Yeah, actually, CI, the parent group, Culture Initiative, they sponsored some shirts. We love those guys. They sponsored some shirts for us, and some of our local businesses in the community threw in for them. And so we got some logos and stuff on the back of the wingman shirt. But here's the thing. You can't buy a wingman shirt. You can only earn a wingman shirt.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So if you are spirited at the crowd, in the crowd, then some of the leaders of the wingmen, they'll throw you a shirt if you are stepping out there and showing your spirit. I know you love face painting and all that sort of stuff. So,
well, I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to do to show spirit outside of being at the actual activities, right? Like through the community online. Like there's probably a number of ways that people can earn these shirts outside of showing spirit at the actual event, I would think.
Yeah. Let's brainstorm that. We'll figure out a way to do that. Maybe the Morning Buzz is gonna give out our first wingman shirt of the year.
Hey, that'd be great. Yeah, I'd love to do something like that. So you mentioned them getting nominated for a national award, and let's not gloss over the fact that you, sir, got nominated for a national award as well.
I was glossing over that.
Yeah. So talk through what that award was, and at some point, I think we've got a couple of videos that we want to share that we can pull up at some point and kind of show that contest and what the nomination is all about. But in a nutshell, you were basically awarded or nominated to be a finalist in the top. It was a staff member, or
Yeah.
what was the category?
Yeah, it was for a faculty member. Yeah.
Faculty member. So a national award that you made it down to the finals and were one of the nominees. So congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks.
Well deserved for sure.
Yeah.
And
Surrounded with great people.
yeah, you know, I think that's just the case with everybody in this community, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we're and you know, I'm so glad our school colors are not orange and gray. I have to say that.
or red. Let's not go red either.
Well, you know, yeah.
I understand. Hey,
Yeah.
Mike, speaking of great people, you got a great show today. You got Coach Crow coming on.
Yeah.
Man, I can't wait to hear what he has to say about football. We are so excited about football. We're excited about all our sports, but football and basketball and volleyball were some of those we thought would never come back. And to have football playing next week, man, that's unbelievable. And then you have Mr. Burnett or Mr. Asplin? Which one do you have?
You know, they haven't confirmed which of
Okay.
them is coming. It might be both of them. I sent both of them the link, so hopefully, yeah, you know, both of them would be great. But I'll take one. So you know,
you talk about guys that have just risen amongst the ashes. Man alive, those guys didn't know what they were getting themselves into when they took those jobs.
oh,
And then have COVID hit, and then the schools close, and then man alive, that's a tough spot.
yeah, and you think about all of the people that are in these spots. We had so many new leaders come into the district at that time. We had Mr. Aston,
Yep.
Mr. Burnett changes roles, Mr. Asplin changes roles, Coach Farley changes roles. Like
Yeah, Ms. Hendrickson, our assistant principal, she's
Yep.
new too.
Which, by the way, I am going to get Mrs. Franklin to come on with us at some point to
All
talk
right.
about Special Olympics. If she's watching, Lindsay, I owe you a call because I'd love to get you on the show and catch up with you and find out what you've been up to in the last year. So,
Yeah. Hey, Mike, I don't know if you heard, but we have recently had four of our guys were nominated for Boys State. I don't know if you knew that.
You know, I seen on your guys' website that had an article about it. So, do you know? Let me look. Boys State. What's the premise of Boys State?
Yeah, so it started back in the early 1900s, 1930s ish, and it's kind of focused on experiential learning. So it's set up by the American Legion, if I'm not mistaken. And it's really focuses on learning and responsibility, citizenship, that sort of thing. And they come together and they have kind of like a mock government.
Okay.
And they work through things. They each school can send one person, and they have them divided by regions, but each school can send one person and someone who's kind of been a standout on their campus. And then they go and they create this like model government. Some of them, if I'm not mistaken, are elected to city government. They might be a mayor. One of them is going to be a governor, and I believe that's how it's set up. And then they're passing legislation, working together, experiencing how the government works.
Yeah. So there's 4 students.
4 got nominated. So,
Okay.
so the way that works is all of they're juniors, and they get nominated by the staff and voted on by the staff.
Okay.
And then members of the American Legion come and interview those 4, and you got to win the interview. And then they choose a delegate, a person who goes from our school, and then also an alternate.
Well, that program was around when I was growing up. My sister actually was a nominee for Girls State.
Yeah.
They didn't. I mean, they purposely just like made sure that I didn't even know about the program because I was just not going to get qualified.
Yeah, and it isn't something that you can say, I want to be in this. It's something that you are nominated not because you necessarily wanted to. It's just because staff members see something in you.
That's so cool. That's fantastic. Well, we wish those guys luck. And when do they find out?
Well, they might know already, actually, because they already had the interview process. I know who won, but I know that once I say anything on the Morning Buzz, forget about it, man.
Yeah.
It's out there. So I emailed Mrs. Miller, who's our registrar, and she kind of oversees that program on our campus and making sure that happens and all that sort of stuff. And I didn't hear back from her whether or not the guys knew yet, so I didn't want to say. But some great guys, John Nicholson and Lincoln Levitt and Owen Dalton and Justin Grapentine. If you want to read about them, man, there are some great stories, some bios of these guys on our blog, which we have that comes out. And if you're interested, you could read all about them at templetonhigh.home.blog. templetonhigh.home.blog. And on that, you're going to read one of them is a internationally recognized dancer who's won lots of awards. We got other ones that have done a variety of things. Multiple ones of them are athletes, a lot of community service, a lot of chess club, by the way, actually. But the community service is always the one that kind of stands out to me. I love seeing kids give back to the community, whether they are refereeing games, working for Templeton Rec, or working at their church or at the hospital or whatever. A lot of musicians. I know your family is quite the musical family. We got some musicians in there. So it's an interesting read to see kind of what they want to do with their life and that sort of stuff. So.
Look at that. I just posted the article in the news feed of the Facebook live. So
Cool.
that article is there. Very cool. TempletonHigh.home.blog.
Yeah. And that's produced by a couple students in my social media class. Mm-hmm. And you can, when you're on that, you can go back to the previous blog, and that was on our girls' state nominees. And you'll see some fantastic girls there. We have so many great kids that come from great families in Templeton that are just outstanding.
The girls' state nominees, did they announce who won on that one?
Yeah, Ashlyn Jansen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. So yeah, I'm looking at that article as well.
Which is a great segue, Mike, because Ashlyn Jansen is part of our tennis team. And she and her partner, Ava Bernick, man, they had to fight to come back for a victory last night, and they did. That was the only really close match of the tennis match yesterday. Our girls are now 7-0.
Wow!
Knocked off Santa Maria on the road last night, 9-0. So all of our singles, all of our doubles won. Yeah, they are looking tough. They've got next week. They've got AG. Believe it's on Wednesday. And then what everybody's waiting for is the week after that is Mission. And Mission traditionally has a really strong tennis team. So that could be, and you don't want to look past AG because AG is a big school, powerhouse, in a lot of sports. But Mission, there's always sort of a special flair between when we get to play Mission.
And remind me the tennis coach's name again?
Coach Nicole Zundell.
Zundell. Okay.
Yeah.
We've got to get her on to talk about this, but I don't want to jinx it. That's the thing is you don't want to ruin a good thing.
Yeah. I talked to our cross country coach this morning because we're putting together a senior video, which we do for all of our teams just to kind of, bless our seniors on their way out, their last game. And was telling her, hey, Mike would love to have you on the show and talk about the season. And, their guys are undefeated as well. In fact, we haven't had a league. Well, our guys, cross country and girls tennis, Coach Farley likes to say are undefeated with him as an AD. So, he's feeling pretty good about that. But the coach said she'd be willing to come on maybe right before right before the last meet, St. Joe's, a couple of weeks from now. And the assistant coach said, Coach Rosalie said, I went to school with Mike Brady.
Wait, who was that?
Rosalie.
Rosalie. Okay. Yeah.
You know, Rosalie?
Oh, how funny.
Seventh grade. Seventh grade.
Yeah.
I think that's what she said.
Seventh
So
grade. That
anyway,
was a long time ago.
yeah, absolutely. And let's see. I just got word from our registrar about Boys State, and she said they do know. So I can announce. I can tell you. Shall I tell you?
Wait, are we getting the announcement first? Like, is this the first public announcement?
This is the first announcement on any YouTube channel in the world.
This is, wow, breaking news on the Morning Buzz. First time ever. Let's hear it.
The kids know. The kids know, but
Oh.
I don't know how else it was publicized. Mrs. Miller was pleased to announce.
Hold on, let me do a drum roll.
Okay, I really should make sure. Okay, she said yes, they do know. Pleased to announce that this year's alternate. Okay, so this is the backup in case our delegate can't go. The alternate is John Nicholson.
Awesome.
And this year's delegate, so the one that was selected by interview after being nominated, is Lincoln Levitt.
Congratulations, boys.
Yeah. And all four of those guys are amazing guys. So really, it's like the Academy Awards. It's just awesome to be nominated for that award.
Yeah. And it's virtual this year though, right? They're doing it. Okay.
Unless something crazy happens, but it's scheduled right now.
Sure.
And what crazy thing could ever happen? So, who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's scheduled to be virtual.
Very cool. Well, congratulations to those guys and really all four of them for even being nominated is quite an honor.
Yeah.
That's impressive. So no doubt this school somehow has a knack for like raising up great young leaders. I don't know what it is. Must have something to do with the staff.
I'm telling you, man, we got some great families, supportive families that are great examples to their kids, and their kids, follow. And then the kids on campus, they're great examples to our younger ones and that sort of thing.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, so how, and this, let's pretend we're off camera right now. How was the feed? Did you happen to catch the feed before you jumped on? Was it a little shoddy? Was it good?
I'll be honest with you. I did not see it because I was out trying to get our cross country kids on video before they went for their run. So
got it. Okay.
Normally, I watch or I listen, throughout the day. But yeah, I didn't see the beginning.
Well, I'm scrambling to come up with a backup plan here for next week. I want to try to get through this week with the connectivity that I have, and if I can't figure out how to make it better here on site, then I'm gonna have to set up a makeshift studio at another location with a wired internet access.
So, an undisclosed location.
Undisclosed location. Yeah.
Because the fans, I can imagine it's just a bother.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, Mike, one thing we got coming up next week, I just wanted to make sure we got on people's calendar, especially our incoming freshmen. Okay. So 8th graders. And this is all over our school webpage. And I know that Mrs. Creighton, our freshman counselor, has been reaching out, and over at the middle school, we've been making sure they know. But sometimes we have people who come from other schools that aren't part of our system already, and they join us. So next Tuesday, March 16th,
okay,
from 6 to 7 at night, we are having incoming freshman parent-student night. Now, normally what that looks like, normally 2 years ago, what it would look like is parents and students, current 8th graders and their parents would be coming to the high school gym, and we'd have tables set up all around the gym with all of the different departments represented, and the students and their parents would be given a presentation by the principal, assistant principal, the athletic director, and then they would be released to go and learn about the classes that they could sign up for, and they'd go table to table and all that sort of stuff. Last year, we closed. Yeah.
That's where I met you for the first time, by the way, when our daughter went up to your table in 8th grade. And so that's a very cool night for
Yeah.
incoming freshmen. And it's a little overwhelming, to be honest with you, because there are so many different types of clubs and activities that these students in classes that these students could be involved in. But so that's cool. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Yeah, we closed last year, right before that. So we kind of had to scramble and we did it virtual. We are doing it virtual again this year on next Tuesday, okay, March 16th.
Mm-hmm.
And we will be posting a Zoom link. In fact, I think it's already posted on the front of our School Loop page. But the same sort of thing where there will be a presentation made by various people, but then there will be some videos highlighting different things that'll be happening during the year and things that really incoming students and parents should know, because 8th graders are going to be selecting their classes for next year really soon. And there's a lot of great choices.
Yeah, very cool. What are some of the choices?
Well, I mean, there's different like programs, I guess. Obviously, they're going to be taking, their math, their history, their science, their English classes, those type of things. But even within those, there are advanced placement or honors courses that they would have the opportunity to choose from. Also, so you got kind of those core ones, but then you have your electives. And if I'm not mistaken, our incoming freshmen have 2 electives to choose from. Many of them will take a foreign language, take Spanish.
Sure.
Or they might jump in a leadership program. Like I have the ASB, but we also have ag leadership. Those that are interested in any of the ag stuff, man, we've got a ton of different ag things. Kids who like to work with their hands, ag mechanics. We've got a farm, a school farm. We've got a greenhouse, welding, wood shop. I mean, we got a bunch of stuff. And some of those classes vary based on what grade you're in. But you kind of get in the program, whatever it is, and you learn all those things. We have a STEM program that's phenomenal, and CTE courses where kids get involved with medical careers or with energy and power. I know some of our kids, not freshmen, but some of our kids in Mr. Diodati's class, they will at some point during their high school career, if they're in that pathway, that CTE pathway, they will get certified to install solar. They're learning about solar power, and then they go with PG&E and they're installing in some neighborhood house and learning all about it. There's some amazing hands-on thing. Cal Poly says learn by doing. I think they stole that from us, to be honest. I mean, we don't want to say anything about it, but man, our classes really learn by doing.
They stole our colors too.
Absolutely. They didn't steal our logo though. Our logos. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I'm going to invite into the conversation Mr. Lewis, who has graciously accepted the offer to join us Wednesdays with a history lesson or some type of, there he is. And Matt, you're gonna have to walk over to Mr. Lewis's class and do the jailbreak thing on his computer like you did on yours, so he can access this link from the school computer.
Okay, I'll do it.
Just don't tell anybody.
Yeah,
nobody's watching.
Yeah.
Eric, how are you, sir?
I'm well. Once I figured out that I had to use my phone, it just kept scrolling. You assume because we use these every day for Zoom that it would be easy, and it didn't work. So
it's
it could be the high volume. It could be the high volume of people all trying to get on to the Morning Buzz. I mean, that could be it too. It could be just clogging the internet.
That's definitely it. Yeah. Oh, all right. Well,
maybe
Mr. Mack,
because my classroom light is at the back of my head.
Oh, how funny. Well, Mr. Mack, I appreciate you coming on today. We'll sign off, and then we'll. I don't want to press my luck with too many guests streaming at once.
No, I'm out, and I am happy to give way to Mr. Lewis, amazing history teacher. and was a great principal when we had him as principal. But he's an amazing history teacher. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right. See you.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Good morning. How are you?
I am well. I'm well. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks again for being a part of this.
Of course. No, that's exciting. This is a lot of fun.
So the goal of your segment, in my mind, anyways, is just the opportunity, because I was a terrible student. I mean, I was a horrible student, but for some reason, I just absolutely love government and history. And you being obviously a past principal, but now back in the classroom, you made the decision to do that because of your love for what you teach and being able to interact with the students, I'm assuming, correct?
Yeah, that was definitely the big reason. I just a little bit of history on that. I didn't plan to be principal. I don't know if you know that story.
Yeah.
They actually, we had a rough year many years ago, and they asked me to come in the interim. And so I did it, and then they asked me to stay, and I stayed, and then a couple of things happened. I mean, there was some philosophical disagreements that I had with the previous administration.
Got it.
And then that combined with the fact that Miss Hanson, whose shoes I had to fill, was one of the greatest history teachers ever, left. And so it opened up a spot. And normally when teaching with tenure and seniority, for me to go back, I would have had to bump a younger teacher. But this actually created an opportunity that I did not have to bump another teacher. And my passion is in history. I mean, there is good things about administration because you see everything and you're at everything and you see all the activities and you see kids very different than you see them in the classroom.
Sure.
But you don't see all the kids because, half of the kids are in extracurriculars of some sort. And then you also, even the kids you do get to know, you don't know them that well. You don't get to know them as people that often in administration just because of the nature of it, where when you have kids in a classroom, with the exception of the last year under this weird Zoom thing, and I'm excited about Monday and trying to get to know some of the kids, but that's the best part of this job is meeting the kids and seeing them grow and trying to make them passionate about something, like you said, and it isn't always about grades, and sometimes it's about other stuff, but obviously we also have these kids need to do things for their future. So we also need to help them jump through the hoops of whatever that may be, depending on their chosen path. So,
well, two of the teachers that I connected with the most growing up, and now there's a handful of teachers, being from a small town where you just form these relationships that are kind of lifelong lasting, and I still talk to a lot of them. But Greg Williams at Paso Robles High School and Gene Miller, I mean, those two guys just absolutely poured so much love and knowledge into these kids. And they just, obviously had a huge impact on me as a kid. So, and that's probably why I'm fascinated with history and government as much as I am, because it's being exposed. Oh, and one more teacher, Mr. England, was over at Flamson Middle School, who passed away a few years back, but he took me on a trip to Washington, D.C. when I was in 8th grade, and that was just memories of a lifetime. So, being able to walk around our nation's capital and learn the stories, all year long, but then be able to actually physically see these sites and these buildings and where history took place. And being out in California, we're kind of we don't have exposure to our founding, our the roots of how our country was founded necessarily with the 13 original colonies, right? So a California kid going out there is a pretty special thing to see. Now out here, obviously, we have a different history with the missions and the Mexican American side, and so all of that, and the natives. But yeah, it's just fascinating. There's so many different stories about our nation that really we kind of take for granted and don't think about on a daily basis. But I found myself on Friday watching, actually Saturday night, watching a Matthew McConaughey movie on the Civil War, and I don't remember the name of it, but it was about how he defected from the Confederacy and was helping slaves escape. I don't. It was based on a true story. Are you familiar
Yeah,
with
what
that?
is? Oh gosh, I know the movie. It's Jones something.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
uh,
Um,
like
Free State of Jones.
yeah, I know the movie.
Yeah. So, and of course, I finished the movie and then went on to YouTube and watched a 2 hour documentary on the History Channel on that same thing, because I'm just like, now I'm entrenched in it and I want to know more and more and more about it. And history has a way of doing that, right? When you find a story that you latch onto and then you just want to deep dive it and learn
Oh
more.
yeah, for me especially, and I always tell the kids that I said, you're going to be a victim of my dorkiness when it comes to history and when it comes to government. And I also teach economics too, and um, and a lot of times that ends up going off on tangents, and and it isn't always ideal. But sometimes I say, don't let the lesson get in the way of the learning. If we go in a certain direction,
Sure.
which is interesting because I think this format for a lot of us in the history department, especially my veteran um, department members like Chivens and Barnes are pretty legendary here. It's hard because those natural stories and things that kids ask questions and they naturally come about under this format, it just doesn't work that well. And I just feel so bad for these kids, especially the seniors, more than anybody else.
Sure.
My son graduated last year, but because it was so different and the fact that they didn't have to do anything from March on, I think
Yeah.
a lot of last year's seniors, some of them were bummed about the extracurriculars. We're like, oh right, we're done because they had senioritis. But this year's seniors, I mean, they're a year into this, and it's horrible. The other kids will survive it and remember it, and I
Yeah.
know that reflects your daughter and her friends, and I just think it's been a terrible tragedy for them.
Yeah, but I think that there's going to be some silver linings that come out of it. I think these kids are going to be prepared for anything. I mean it's obviously looking different, but yeah, it'll be one to remember. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So we've got it's 8 o'clock and Coach Crow's on a tight schedule. He's not in yet, so when he comes in, I'll bring him into the fold with us. But what are some of your thoughts on how you want to do this weekly history lesson with us?
Well, and I kind of for this, I thought um, I would just come up with, and I came up with two little historical things that I thought were I always like stuff that's obscure and weird.
Sure.
And so I don't have really time to talk about them today, but I could set them up for probably do one each in the next couple of weeks. One was a U.S. history one that is about whether Andrew Jackson was really born in the United States or not.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he was quite the controversial figure, but allegedly he got in a fight and got beat up by a guy named Simon Kenton, who's pretty famous in Kentucky. He was a frontiersman at the same time of Daniel Boone, and there's all these eyewitnesses, but if he actually happened on the time that it supposedly happened, Andrew Jackson would have been 11. But if he wouldn't have been here in the United States, he wouldn't have been able to be president because he wouldn't have been a natural born citizen. So the details behind that. And the other one, because I teach AP European history, is the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand that started the World War One. Is just such a fascinating story of the way it went down and coincidences and
Yeah.
the domino effect that put us into this great war that was the biggest war in world history until the next one in World War II. So
Right.
those are the two things that I thought I would talk about, but I can save those for the future. Is Crow here yet?
Well, Coach Crow texted me saying he's having the same issue you were having with the school Wi-Fi. So, so if Andrew Jackson was not our president, who would have been our president at that time, and how do you think it would have altered?
You know what? I don't know, because it would have been effective of whether he could have even ran for president. And even
Oh,
that becomes up of a controversial thing, because most people have interpreted a natural a natural citizen, meaning that they're born here. But we have had people that are American citizens that have ran that have not made it. One being Ted Cruz,
Okay.
who is the Texas senator. He was actually born in Canada,
Mhm.
to American citizens' parents, and the other being George Romney, who was the governor of Michigan and Mitt Romney's father, and he was actually born in Mexico,
And
but
he
was an
was
American citizen to American parents, and they both ran but didn't win. So going forward, we'll kind of see, because usually people think it either have to be physically born in the United States or at least born in a U.S. territory. John McCain was born in Panama, but it was in the U.S. zone, and he
wow.
also obviously didn't win. So
Interesting. That's wild. Yeah. What year was Romney's father running? Do you remember?
I believe it was in the late 60s. And he
Okay.
didn't get the nomination. He ran for the Republican nomination and didn't get it. And it might have been against Nixon, but you can't hold me to that.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah. And he was Michigan, you said?
yeah, I think he was like a big wig in the automotive industry and then transferred over to politics,
I got a
and then
question.
Mitt went from the governor of Massachusetts and then moved to Utah, and now he's a senator from Utah. So he switched where he had been a government official.
Yeah, and why did they? So I guess that's allowed, right? You can move, and I think Hillary Clinton did the same thing when she moved to New York.
Oh
And
yeah, she did not. She would never lived there. She grew up in Illinois, and then after college, her and Bill got married. She lived 12 years or more in Arkansas, then 8 years in D.C. But she was very popular in New York, so they bought a house in Chappaqua, New York, which is outside the city where a lot of Wall Street people live, in a big community. It's 45-minute commute or so, and to establish a residency. But a lot of them say you have to be a resident, but don't have a specific time how long you have to reside in the state.
wow, that's wild.
Yeah, the trivia is my high school girlfriend, who I am still really good friends with her sister after 40 years. Her and her husband, he was a Wall Street guy. He's retired and moved to
Oh,
San Diego, but they lived on a block over from the Clintons in Chappaqua. That's how I know so much about it, because Amy and Rob, that's my ex-girlfriend and her husband, would see them at the coffee shop. They would see them walking around town. Said mostly they would saw Bill because he was there and Hillary was a senator and doing her thing.
sure.
But yeah, Bill would be very, like, anytime anybody saw him, he was like you think he was politicking and coming up to everybody, and yeah.
Oh
So
yeah, absolutely. I'm sure he enjoyed that. How cool. Well, Coach Crow says he's got a picture on his desktop, but he can't get in, and I don't see him in the chat room. So I'll let you go and try to figure out if we can get him through. I think I'm having some connectivity issues as well on my end, which might be
okay, yeah, it's funny
caused.
because I was thinking, because we started at 9, and in my head I was 8:45, not 7:45, and I was already here. But then I went, oh crap, and then yeah. So anyway, all right. Well, yeah, we'll continue this next week at 7:45. Have a good one, Mike.
Awesome. Thanks, Mr.
Take
Lewis.
care.
See ya. All right, that's Eric Lewis. Eric Lewis is the high school government, econ, and history teacher, former principal, longtime Templeton high school teacher and staff member. Coach Crow is still not successful in getting on. He's texting me right now. Let's see. Mr. Mack is saying, Coach Crow, if you can hear me, Mr. Mack is saying you can use his room if you'd like, if you have time to run over there. So let me see if I can text him that. Mr. Mack is saying to go. This is live streaming TV. What Tim Collins says, bring in the Don. We're trying to get him on. Coach Crow is not late. Just let the record reflect, Lori. Coach Crow is not late. It's connectivity issues. His room. This is great. This is live stream at its finest. Again, I don't know if it's my connectivity on my end or or the school Wi-Fi locking him out. But let's see if we can get him on here. He's on a tight schedule today too, so he's only got until about 8:15, and so if he can't get in, that's going to be a bummer. We might have to tape something with him later today and then launch it on the site. So we'll see what he says. He is on. He's at the middle school. Okay, keep trying. Try from phone. Let's try that. It seems like they're having issues on the phone. After Coach Crow, we are going to have somebody from the district representing the district come on, either Mr. Asplund himself or Mr. Burnett is going to join us to give us kind of a State of the Union, an update for the district as a whole, all the things that they're going through right now, the things that they've gone through, but basically just really giving us some real-time updates with what we can expect with the district. Lori Crow says, fun fact, Tim Collins was Coach Crow's first assistant coach that he hired. That's very cool. Welcome to the show, Tim. Thanks for coming on. Let me do this here. Let's see. Let's get Lori Crow on. Lori, click on the link here. See if you can click on the link and come on and represent Coach Crow. So he's having issues. It's denying him. He's saying, I don't know why it would be denying him unless it's just on his end with the school. Yeah, let's get Lori to click on that link and see if she can join us and represent Coach Crow. Wow, I'm kind of bummed because this segment, Coach Crow's weekly update, has been something that people have been looking forward to and messaging me about and asking me when he was going to be on. And so Coach Crow has accepted the offer to be on every Wednesday at 8:00 and share some football knowledge with us, and the state of the state of the team, how the competition's looking and whatnot. Kelly Hanchett, great point. Right there in the chat, Kelly is saying, hey, support your students and athletes. Buy a T flag from Templeton High School Culture Initiative. And if you want the information, I will post it on our Facebook page here later on after the show. But excuse me, the flags are $37.50. And so, like I said, the profit that we make, I think, Kelly, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's about $12 or $14 profit on these flags. And so all of that money, that is the profit. It's a fundraiser, right, to go to the Culture Initiative. And the Culture Initiative basically does things for all sorts of students who aren't necessarily represented. So it's really a cool program. I'm a part of it, and it's just it's fun. Coach Crow messaged me here. He says he's heading home. Try there in about 20 minutes. So we might wrap up the show with Coach Crow. Coach, if you're listening, drive careful. Please don't speed. It's a little wet out there on the roads, but that'd be great if we can get him on at some point today. Let's see what else. It is 8:12 right now, and we've got hopefully Mr. Asplund or Mr. Burnett can get in at some point. That would be great. But I'll try to see if I can delete. Let's see here. All right. So going back to what Mr. Lewis was talking about, it's interesting that he mentioned that there's some debate about whether or not Andrew Jackson was actually born in the United States. I'd never really heard that story, and Had he not been born in the United States, he wouldn't have been eligible to run for president, and we would have had somebody else running for president, and we would have had a different president. So it's interesting to think about how that could have changed how our country was shaped, or what that would look like. So looking forward to Mr. Lewis's weekly segment with us, because like I said, I love history and I love government, and it's just fascinating to talk about. The movie that I was watching over the weekend was a Civil War movie. Let me look. What was it called? Matthew McConaughey. Free State of Jones was the name of that movie. It was and just so you know, I'm not a movie guy at all. I can't sit down and watch movies too often. Drives my wife nuts because she loves to watch movies. But I love a good story about history, and so this is Free State of Jones is a 2016 American historical war film inspired by the life of Newton Knight and his armed revolt against the Confederacy in Jones County, Mississippi, throughout the American Civil War. So Matthew McConaughey, cool movie. It was a good story to learn about. I had no idea about that story. So let's see here. It's 8:14. Let's see if Mr. Burnett and Mr. Asplund can get on. Let's see. Oh, looks like Andy's in the waiting room. Let's see here. Well, you're not having connectivity issues.
I'm not.
Oh man, Coach Crow, I rattled his cage. I think he couldn't get on, and so he's kind of bummed about it. And I have so many people. Not that I don't have people asking when you're going to be on, but I have a ton of people asking when Coach Crow is going to be on.
Well, understandably so. Everyone should be excited to hear from Coach Crow. That's for sure.
Mr. Burnett, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys wanting to be a part of this. And, the goal and the vision I have for you on the district level is that you guys use this as a platform to just another way to reach the community. The information that you give us on a weekly basis is going to live on this Facebook feed in the form of video. And it's just another way for you to just get the message out, whatever the message is that you want to get out at any given time. I might put you on the hot seat and, see between you and Aaron, who's a better free throw shooter, or, stuff like that. But this isn't going to be any kind of like crazy high stress situation for you.
Well, we're looking forward to the opportunity, Mike, and we appreciate the invitation. Any opportunity we get to talk about the great things that are happening in the school district, we're eager to do so, and I'm even more eager to discuss our abilities at the free throw line. So let's at least give Aaron an opportunity to get on so he can defend himself.
Is he going to join us?
He is going to join us. Yeah, he's jumping on here. He should be on momentarily. So.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so while I got you, somebody ropes you into taking this new role in the district, and then all of a sudden, everybody has to do a 180 and shift gears. So, congratulations on adapting to change. From my vantage point, you guys are taking it all in stride and just pushing ahead, and that's to have leadership that exudes that confidence, and in times that we really are uncertain, but you guys continue to push forward like that, makes me as a parent in the district super comfortable. So congratulations on being able to do that, whether or not you know what you're doing or not. You guys are really taking the reins and pushing our district forward. So thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate you acknowledging that. And if we rewind not too many years, I was fortunate enough to land in this district just a couple years ago, and secure a position as the middle school principal. And I have to tell you, no offense to any former district that I've ever worked for, but Templeton Middle School principal was the job. I mean, I love that job, and it was just awesome. And then to be given the opportunity to serve in this role was an absolute honor. And so we're working within challenging times, and we're navigating some pretty uncertain territory as well, but we've got a great community, great school district and organization. And so I'm always confident, while definitely challenged. I'm always confident that we're going to move in the right direction, in service of our community's kids. I mean, that's really what it's about, is seeing our kids thrive and helping them be successful. So thank you for acknowledging all of that. And it is an absolute honor to be in this position.
So I asked Joe Farley the same thing. I got to know, how many different group text threads do you have going with administrators, staff members, other districts? Because this is such a fast changing environment that we've been in. I would imagine like real-time communication has been so critical with not only locally but regionally and with the San Luis, county office as well, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Communication is key, and we certainly, text threads are a common thing. Zoom calls are a constant reality. Early morning phone calls and late night phone calls and weekend communications have become commonplace during this time. So. I don't know how many text threads I have, Mike, but I know it's pretty. The number is up there, and certainly more than ever before. So,
yeah.
I just going back though. I spoke a little bit earlier about the kind of just the excellence associated with our people, both the community, the organization itself. Everyone is always willing to get on board and communicate and move our schools forward and move our district forward. So there's never been a time where I've sent a text out and they've ignored my text. That's the good news.
Well, that's good. And you've got a good staff. I mean, you've the presentations that you've put together for the board meetings, and now these board meetings are live streamed. You can go to the district's website and actually be a part of these board meetings. The general public is always welcome to these board meetings in the district. But the presentations that I've seen you give with just the statistics that you're throwing out there, maybe you could kind of speak to those, but for you guys to be able to gather that information as quickly as you do and put it on paper in a format, on a slideshow format that you can explain as a whole is pretty fascinating, especially when there's so much of that going around, data, numbers. But for you guys to be able to articulate that is just really, really a neat thing. So speak to some of those presentations.
Well, I have to admit, I'm learning from amongst the best I've ever seen do it, and that's our superintendent, Aaron Asplund. I mean, when you talk about putting together presentations with endless amounts of numbers, he's pretty masterful at that, coming from his CBO background. So that is really the standard of excellence that we all strive for, and I think you see evidence of that throughout our organization. When just last night, our principals presented their hybrid reopening plans, and I should be specific, our middle and high school principals, and some pretty great videos and slideshows were a part of that. But I'll take it back to the numbers and the statistics that you mentioned. That's really important to us as a school district. We're working really hard to be data driven, and it's one thing to make statements without any evidence to support those statements, but when those statements can be supported by data and and then we can evidence that that drives our decision making, it builds trust in our community. It builds trust, within the organization. And so that is a really important initiative for us.
Yeah, no, I think it's great, and it shows obviously in the job that you guys are doing. So thanks for
Hey,
doing
Mike.
that. Yeah.
Evidently, Aaron was having some issues logging in, so he's standing here. You mind if I pass the computer off to him and we do that trade off?
No, absolutely. Go for it.
Okay, so I'm gonna allow him to jump in. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Hey, good morning, Mike. How you doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good to see you. Boy,
All right.
Andy stole all my thunder. I don't know what's left to talk about.
Well, he did say that he thinks he's a better free throw shooter than you. So no, he didn't say that. So you're being misrepresented here. We've got Andy's name under your picture. So I don't know if you can turn that off on your end or if I could turn that off.
Yeah, let's see what we can do.
Let's see here.
Yeah. How's that look for you?
That's great. And then I put up your name as well on my screen. So
Perfect. Good stuff.
Mr. Asplund, hey, welcome. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. Thank you. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Congratulations on being a parent of school-age children through the last year, and
Right.
and still
Yeah.
having a smile on your face. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you know what? I was driving in this morning, and there's a little break in the rain, and I saw a little bit of sunshine, and saw trees blooming, and it kind of like was a perfect analogy for me. It got me thinking how the parallels to what I see happening in our community, like the long kind of winter of, let's call it the long winter of COVID. Like I just see a thaw happening where things are starting to open up, and it's just really encouraging. So that was kind of a cool connection I made on the way into work this morning.
Yeah, there does seem to be a sense of a little bit of a community-wide exhale, right, happening. And so that is kind of exciting to be able to feel in the air. So you've had a crazy last 12 months, and it's any given day, not knowing what the day is going to bring you guys. But I was telling Mr. Burnett that as a community member, a father of children in the district, I can honestly say that you guys, from my vantage point, have given us so much as parents, relief in just your guys' ability to lead in these uncertain times. And so I think that we've hit the jackpot, and you guys have done such an amazing job. So regardless of the circumstance, so congratulations on all of the things that you guys have been able to do to not only keep our students and the staff safe, but also just effectively communicate plans and create plans to move forward. And so here we are, getting ready to jump into the next step of the plan, which is exciting. And so maybe we can just spend some time this morning, and you could kind of walk through what we've gone through and where we're going.
Yeah, absolutely. Gosh, it's certainly been unprecedented, and it's been a year of personal growth for me. My word, I was not expecting. I thought I knew what it meant to be the leader of a school district, and that's why I kind of took the step forward, having the confidence that I had kind of finally spent enough time working in the system to kind of understand how things could work and progress, and how to kind of lead the organization. And then along came COVID, and nobody knew. There's really no playbook for it all, and so we've just tried to kind of thoughtfully and methodically work through the challenges that they've come. And, it has stretched me personally and professionally, being a community member simultaneous to being a leader of the organization. I feel, and being a parent, quite frankly, I have felt the weight of the decisions and the, trying to do what's right for our community, and knowing that there's been more than ever a divergence of perspective in our community at times, and trying to do right by as many people as we can. So it's been a challenge. It has stretched us, but it's at the end of the day no different than what everybody has faced on a personal level through this really unpredictable and crazy time. So that's kind of what we see when we look in the rearview mirror. But we're certainly looking ahead. Just feel super optimistic about, again, that kind of renewed energy and our ability to do some on an increasing basis, to be able to do some things we want to do. and start, get back to get to the next chapter of doing good things for our kids. People worked tirelessly through this last time period to kind of reinvent our system, and make it as robust as it could be, circumstances considered. And now at this spring, we're about to next Monday take a huge step forward to the next chapter and embrace that. And all the little kinks that will come with it. We, as always happens in Templeton, one of the things I love most about our organization is full of committed people who are going to figure it out and adapt as we go, and all with an eye toward the future. And again, back to that analogy of just kind of the spring, like things are just opening up. And I think a steady, a slow and steady and methodical march toward bigger and better things is what's ahead of us. So I'm really feeling good about what the future holds.
Yeah, and so explain to us what we can expect in terms of so K through sixth grade or fifth grade has been already operating on a hybrid level.
Yeah.
And we're starting the middle school, high schoolers doing the same thing this next Monday, correct?
Sure. Yeah. So since late November, quite frankly, the end of November, our little ones in our elementary schools have been able to be back in their hybrid schedules. We're really pleased. And what's really encouraging is you go spend time on those campuses and you're reminded what in-person schooling does for kids beyond the academics being first and foremost, but just the ability to be there in person and to interact with their peers and their teachers. And we're thrilled that next Monday, our middle and high school students, despite the fact that we've had, pockets of students coming and going and being served in various ways, the full-fledged, welcoming back of all those students who see fit to participate in the hybrid program at the middle and high school, that all gets underway next Monday. So really exciting, a nice next chapter.
And it's not a one size fits all model. This is tailored to everybody's specific comfort level, right? We've got
important to mention that. Yeah, I would say so, because despite taking this step forward, not all of those in our school community have chosen that path, and so the distance learning thing that has worked for many people will remain their choice, and so through the spring that remains an option. And then our longstanding alternative education programs, which include the homeschool for our K-8 students and then independent study for grades 9 through 12, those have been there. They've been a constant for years. They remain a constant. And so lots of choices for folks in our community. Despite being a small school system, we're able to keep people with options that best work for their families.
Yeah, can you speak to some of the safety precautions that are being taken, and what you guys have specifically done to prepare from a safety standpoint on campuses?
Yeah, of course. And when I think back to using this analogy of a kind of thawing out from the winter and spring, this isn't like we're flipping a switch and the world's just going back to what it was way back when. This is a methodical march forward, and in doing that, we're reminded that there's still real safety considerations, to keep everyone involved safe. So that's, as has been established kind of by the state and federal government, that's like a layered approach. There's several layers of safety that we build in. So it starts with, the mandate that everybody follows around masks during the school day. You build in ventilation. That's a key concept. So we've improved HVAC systems and put HEPA units into classrooms to constantly sort of exchange the air to kind of as a layer of best practice. Then we have the social distancing thing that's alive and well in our society. So you start to combine, and then you have copious amounts of PPE and sanitizing hands and all those best practices, and you put it all together, and that's what constitutes the several layers of kind of best practices for safety. And then finally, what you might ask the question, why hybrid? If anyone's like, why can't we just jump back to kind of full schooling? That's a function of the fact that if as long as we're required to have social distancing elements in place, you can't put the 28 to 30 kids you used to have in a classroom back in there for now. And so the hybrid thing represents having approximately half as many students on a rotating basis in your classrooms at any time. Again, it's rooted in kind of the best practice kind of mandates that we followed from the state and federal government.
Yeah. One last question. And so as we are witnessing and seeing kind of continued changes from state mandates and whatnot, if in fact they continue to go in the direction that we're going currently, what are the next steps that you as a district are taking to further change that plan or adjust the plan? What does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it might be best described as we look to next fall, because, we're just about to take a step forward with our hybrid program, and it's pretty well established what that looks like. But by the time we set it in motion and kind of get it working, quite frankly, we will find ourselves late in the school year. So with an eye to next fall, and definitely aspiring to progress, because we see kind of all signs societally are pointing in that direction, that there's a steady progression as COVID kind of rates and numbers improve. The allowances for us to do more and more and be more and return to kind of some of the previous, iterations of what we were, are being made available to us. So as we look, 6 months in the future, we do it with optimism that the regulations and the guidance will move with time, in a positive direction, so that we can do more and more of the things that we know are best for kids, and we're excited for that.
Good.
So said another way, our spring planning, which is kind of happening on an internal level right now, we've got our facilities team out looking at how we can accommodate more and more students on our campuses in the fall, quite frankly, with the goal of having all students on campus. We have our educational leaders, like Andy as our kind of chief academic officer, is in the early phases of designing what the school day experience looks like next year. And then kind of post spring break, we will pull in planning teams that served us really well last summer when we were trying to figure out what the heck school is going to look like for the fall. We will re-engage some form of those where we pull in community members, staff, and have a bigger collective conversation and work through the spring, kind of post spring break, toward the end of the school year, so we can leave for the summer with as much certainty as we have at that time about what our options will be for the fall. So really kind of having it dialed in and having our community be well aware of what next year looks like by kind of June at the end of our planning cycle. So lots of work ahead of us, and it kind of kicks off in a more public way where we engage those who want to be a part of this kind of post spring break.
Okay. And I'll leave you with this last question that you can maybe come to the table next week with an answer for. I don't know. It's probably a longer discussion, but I know that over the weekend or last week, the state of California to trickle down some more money to help
Kind of lost him.
the mental health programs as well for school-age children. So I don't know if you want to speak to that now, but maybe next week you can kind of dive more into what a summer school is going to look like for us here for this summer coming up. But is there anything that you want to leave us with this week as these parents get these kids ready to go into that next phase?
Do me one favor as I finish up. I caught the tail end of your question. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty, so I caught kind of the tail end of the question, kind of around summer school and extra supports. Could you give me that again so I can make sure and be prepared next week to speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the governor's bill that passed last week, I think it was AB 86, something like that, is freeing up some monies for some summer school support as well as mental health programs. That maybe you can speak to that a little next week if we are going to see some of that as a district and what that might look like.
Yeah, I'll be happy to do that. I'll turn what was an hour and a half presentation on our finances and some of the recent opportunities last night at the board meeting into something a little more succinct and approachable. So I'll plan to do that for sure. But yeah, there's a nice shot in the arm of funding that'll help us kind of get through the next couple of years as we transition back to kind of transition to future time. So that's really positive. And then I think I caught the other piece of what you were the kind of the send off. And I would just say, parents can hopefully fill their household with optimism and enthusiasm. And really, kids have been away, our middle and high school students have been away from the in-person experience for a long time, for quite frankly, a year. And there's a transition involved. And so just a lot of support and encouragement about, hey, we're jumping into the unknown, and that's okay. That's part of life. And, do it with courage and conviction and be pleasantly surprised when you get back to school that, there's lots of good stuff waiting.
Absolutely. No, that's good to mention. So I really appreciate you taking the time today to just address the community and us on the platform. And as I said in my email to you, this platform is meant for you guys to use as another way of communicating all of the information as often as you guys want. And so again, I really thank you for taking the time to be a part of it and coming on. And Mr. Burnett, if you can hear me, thanks so much. We'll have you guys back on next week.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. All right.
All right. Thanks so
Thank you,
much.
Mr. Asplund. Appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, that's Aaron Asplund, the superintendent of schools for Templeton. And so we are, like I said, very fortunate to have the leadership that we have in our community, in our district. These people that are in these positions are just, they are champions for these students. They're champions for the staff and champions for the community. And so we are very fortunate to have them, representing us. Okay, so we had connectivity issues earlier with Coach Crow. We have this segment planned every Wednesday, 8 o'clock. It's going to be Coach Crow's opportunity to address the community, to talk about football, to talk about the team, so, all the things going on. And so Coach Crow is with us right now. I'm going to punch him in. Let's see. Mr. Crow, Coach, how are you?
Good. How we doing? How you doing, Mike?
Good. Hey, thanks for finally connecting. We had it's a combination of my issues here, living out in the middle of nowhere, and the Wi-Fi situation, and then also I think maybe the school Wi-Fi might not let certain computers get onto the link as well. So I apologize for the confusion there, but I'm glad you're finally on.
Yeah, this is the third place I've tried to get on, so we're good to go right now.
All right. So I'm going to, this is an easy one today. For 2 weeks ago, you held a Zoom call. I believe it was a Sunday night. It was a Zoom call where we were given the green light, and you addressed the students and the parents of the program and talked about what we could expect. I thought you did a fantastic job of articulating what you and all of the other high school coaches and associations had been doing behind the scenes over the past few months to get us to the point where we're at. Would you mind taking a minute to talk through exactly like you did on that Zoom call, all of the things that went into getting us to the opportunity to get on the football field again?
Oh, okay. So the first thing that happened was if you haven't been living in a hole, is that in July they told us our seasons were all moved and we're going to play all the sports were going to happen in the spring, and we were supposed to start football with games on January 8th and start practice the first of December. Well, right after Thanksgiving, we got the first taste of the tiers. Orange tier, purple tier, red tier, and they put football in the orange tier, and the pure numbers of when we were going to get to play would have been probably lucky if we played this coming August. That was before they started doing the adjusted numbers and those kind of metrics and all stuff. It was just these pure numbers, and we looked at it, this isn't going to happen. And then when we broke that to our kids, like 4 days before we were supposed to put our pads on and play, 4 or 5 days, it crushed them. It crushed us, but it crushed them. Well, we looked at the state of Texas, and the state of Texas has this thing called, they use it through a platform called Sports U, and they have their own coaches association. And we decided to form the Golden State Coaches Association for California, and then each of the 10 sections of the CIF, we formed our own coaches association. So we started having Zoom meetings. And the coach from Sarah High School in San Mateo, Patrick Walsh, who was Tom Brady's coach, took the lead. And then he got the coach from De La Salle, which has won more games in the last 30 years than any high school in America, got his coach involved. And I wound up being our area rep to the Central Section group, me and some of the other coaches in the area. It wasn't just me, but I was one of the reps. So we started having meetings and trying to figure out how we can get to the state. Well, those guys that up north at those private schools are a little more connected, and they got some financial backing, and we hired a lobbyist because the state, and you can ask Jordan Cunningham too, was very difficult to get in to see our governor with this kind of stuff, because he was not looking at high school football as a super important thing. It was way more. He was trying to keep people alive and do those kind of things. Was, you know, and understandably, but we were able to finally get a seat at the table. And that was about the first week of January. And within 4 weeks, we knew we had a shot to get football back and get other sports back, because we took the football league, but we also started including other sports in that orange tier, soccer and all outdoor sports. And then it started happening pretty quickly. And then by the middle of February, we were 99% sure we'd get it back. And then February 26th is when we got the official, February 19th, we got the official guidelines. So if we were under 14 per 100,000 positive test on the adjusted, you could start practice in full pads. But then they threw in the caveat of COVID testing. And you had to test your team. All coaches and players had to be tested once a week. And we were all good with that. And the state was going to fund it. And we were all great. We checked out our gear and we were off and running. And then luckily we made it into the red tier, which means now we don't even have to test in our county. We don't have to do the COVID testing. We just do the COVID daily screenings, which we've been doing since September. So we started conditioning our kids September 22nd. And the first day we were actually able to put helmets on and run around February 22nd. So it took us a long time. What's that? October, November, December. It's 5 months.
Yeah.
The kids have been, with no true, and a lot of people will tell you they were convinced we wouldn't play. My own coaching staff was convinced we weren't going to play. But I had to take it from the other point, and the head coaches had to take it from, we're going to do every single thing we can to get these kids back on the field, because it's about them. It's not about us. Of course, we want to coach. We love it because we obviously don't do it for the money. We do it for the passion and the love of it. But you look in those seniors' eyes, and they wanted to play. I mean, our seniors were amazing about leading the younger kids, showing up every day without even any guarantee of ever putting that helmet on again. And they showed up and showed up and showed up. So we felt like, myself and the coaches felt like, we will battle tooth and nail for them. And so we've got our guidelines and we've been following them, and we're up and running. We get a game next Friday.
Yeah. Wow. Well, hard work definitely is paid off with all that you've put into this so far. And I can, as a football parent, I can tell you that it's been really tough at times to continue to have that optimism of a season, right? And this is nothing that you don't know, but for the parents to keep looking at you and the example that you're setting, and you pushing and pushing and pushing, and we're going, Coach Crow, he's out of his mind. There's no way we're going to have a season, but you didn't give up. And that's, that is a testament to obviously your coaching style, leadership that you bring to these kids in the community. And so absolutely. We are so thankful that you kept the faith, and now it's go time, and we've got a few minutes left, but I'm sure you want to talk some football now.
Well, before we get to that, just to dovetail on what you just said, the two people you just had on, Mr. Ashman, Mr. Burnett, and then Mr. Ashton at the high school, and Joe Farley, if our administration had not had my back 100% in this, and the kids back, because that, and absolutely let us do every single thing we could inside the guidelines of the rules. We didn't break any rules, but we were able to use every single rule and guideline to its max. We probably wouldn't be in that situation we're in. But they've certainly allowed myself and our team to do everything we possibly could. And there's other school districts that have completely shut down football and still aren't going to play. Whole towns of multiple school, like Porterville, Delano, Visalia, with multiple high schools say, no, we're not going to play. Not even now that they can, they're not going to play. And I think our district was looking at what's best for our kids, and that's to get them back out and doing their activities.
Sure. Yeah, and it makes it a lot easier when you've got a program that has great leadership and accountability and a plan, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so that's probably what has caught a lot of those other districts off guard, is letting down your guard and not having that plan created. And we from my vantage point, it looks like we've done a really good job as a district of having plans, right?
Right. And if you understood you probably do, have being on some of the meetings with me, but to follow the exact guidelines that we get that change like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The metrics and guidelines change weekly, some of them, and how they do them. But we were to operate inside an ever-changing guidelines and operation from CDC, from our state Department of Health, from our CIF, from our county Department of Health, from our school district. I mean, it's an unbelievable trickle down. And it was challenging, but we held the faith that we were going to get the kids to do the right thing for the kids.
Yeah, no, and like I said, it's definitely shows in the result. And here we are, a week. We're 8 days out, 9 days out.
9 days out from buckling it up against Wasco.
But from the boys taking the field, and while the atmosphere is going to be a little different, the competition is going to be the same. I mean, it's real football on a real field with real pads, real players. This is it.
Oh, the competition is going to be the toughest this school's ever played.
Wow.
I mean, Wasco is a highly rated team in our division for a non-league, for I guess you call it league. They're not calling it league, but then we're going to step up and play the toughest 5 games this school's ever played. I mean, there's no question that we're going to, playing Rigetti, Aurora Grande, St. Joe's, Paso, and SLO 5 weeks in a row has never been even attempted by Templeton. And we told our kids from day one, and we talked about it this morning in our workout this morning, that we're not going to accept any limitations.
Mm-hmm.
Like it says on the back of our shirts, we're not going to fight. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. We have no limitations. We're going to give every Friday night our best shot and be the most competitive football team we can be and line up against those much, much bigger schools and establish programs and see what we can get it done.
Yeah. And so we had a phenomenal opportunity to be a part of your amazing season last year. And that was one of those kind of storybook seasons that, once every few years, 10, 20, 30 years. We have a lot of those same players back. We lost some of them, but a lot of them are back. What are you thinking in terms of what we can expect from our offense, our defense? What does it specifically look like for you compared to last year? Work ethic, no doubt, is probably the same, if not more.
The kids have worked really hard, especially with not knowing what was going on. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So we have lost. Okay, let's start to congratulate those seniors that had that great season. We lost 8 starters on defense, and we've lost 5 on offense. And we lost all of the people that caught a pass, except one. We lost all of our receivers and slots, and all of our defensive backs graduated. So what we call our outside skill guys are all new. But what we have back, and if any coach worth his salt will tell you, is we have a lot of our interior linemen and running game back. Okay. If you want to build a football team, you want to build from the line back. So luckily we have super experienced linemen. We've got 3 all-league linemen returning. We have an all-league, the MVP of the league back at quarterback, an all-league running back, a second-team all-league linebacker. So we are in what we call inside guys are very experienced and ready to go. We're very happy with them. So we're going to be, obviously, with that, building from that, we're going to be a run team first. I mean, that was very obvious 2 years, in 19, I guess it's almost 2 years ago now. In 2019, we were a running team first because that's what fit us. And we'll bring along those outside guys have proven. We've got some younger guys that have proven that they can catch the ball in practice. It'll be baptism under fire starting next Friday night. But again, to build a football team, if you're good up front, if you're good on the offensive and defensive lines, you got a chance to be good. And we think we can be really special there. We're good sized. We're tall. We're a really tall football team, like 6'6", 6'5", 6'4", 6'3". We have some tall kids, and there's some pretty good sized kids, and we're super excited to see those kids get back on the field.
Yeah, if we had the ASB presidents from Paso and Templeton on this week, and myself being a Bearcat alumni, and Templeton and Paso, have they played before? Do you know?
Not that we can find.
Okay.
They've never played in a game before.
Okay. The thought was that we would try to come up with some type of trophy that we have between the two schools. The Bronze Boot is a name that was thrown out there. I don't know if you've got one in mind already, if you even want to go down that road.
Well, so the situation is that I don't know how long we're going to play Paso because our league has changed every year for 4 years. 4 years in a row, it's been a different league. And so I don't know if that, Coach Carroll, the head coach there, used to coach at Templeton. I know Matt very well, and we have a great relationship. And I think the schools have a great relationship. But they could come back next year and change the leagues again and us not play.
Sure.
So we don't know that. That's all up in the air. They didn't even, we have our preseason schedule for next year. If we get to play our regular 10 games, that's been set because those we already had all signed contracts. I'm hoping that it works out, that we can continue to play Paso. We'd love to play Atascadero. They're close games, they're good games, they're good people. They're both those programs. I coached at Atascadero. They're great people.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice for the North County if we could all play. But year in and year out, those schools are so much bigger than us. But we'll see how it shakes out after this year when we go back to scheduling.
Yeah, and so you said next year's schedule's already lined out. In my mind, are we doing 9-10 months of football in a row? Is that what's happening?
Okay, so in fact, your son asked me this question this morning.
Okay.
Okay, so our season's over April 23rd, unless we find a 7th game, which I don't think is going to happen. But as we know, but we have to be finished by April 30th. That would be our last game no matter what. Right now it's April 23rd. And then the seniors will be done and they'll be taken out of they'll get the excuse from our weightlifting class. And then we'll have next year's varsity football team some of them already there. A lot of them are already there. We brought them up for now. We'll start into the weightlifting class till the end of the year. And then towards the end of May, we'll probably get back out on the field a little bit and toss the ball around and do some stuff. And then when we get out of school in June, that next Monday, we'll be in our full-fledged summer program. And it looks like they're going to allow us to have passing tournaments. People are scheduling them to go play. And then right now, our first official day of practice for next fall is July 26th.
Wow.
Which is during the fair. So I'm not sure how that's all that Monday, I think that's what the Monday is. So, but we notoriously, if there's a fair, if we have a full fair, because we have a ton of kids involved in that, we'll take our bye week 1.
Okay.
And then we'll play 10 straight. So that's how our schedule is currently set up. And right now they want to play. The CIF is telling us we get our regular 10 games and then playoffs and everything. So
well, that's exciting. It's a football fan and player's dream, I think, for us.
Oh, yeah. But we were told we have to take 12 weeks with no contact.
Okay.
That is a mandate that came down from the CIF medical staff. So we cannot have a contact practice for 12 weeks. They're going to give the kids 3 months.
End of April to July 26th.
Yeah, to July. Yeah.
Okay.
We cannot have any contact. As far as putting on gear, which is fine with me, we're going to need it.
Yeah.
Kids' bodies need time to recover. I know they're young kids, but you talk to those guys that play in the NFL, they don't hit hard. They haven't really have padded practices anymore. But yeah, because your body takes a toll, and we got to give them some time off. And now that doesn't mean they're not exercising, but they're not going to be running into each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I think NFL, they do 1 day a week. That's actually
something like that. Yeah. But those guys when you play a guy that's been in the league 10 years, they know how to play.
Right. Yeah.
Those are 30 and 35. Some of those are 30 and 33-year-old men, legit men playing that game.
Or 43-year-old men.
Yeah. One of them's pretty impressive.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, your cousin Tom there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's Noel's real dad. Yeah. No. Awesome. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on. I'm going to have you on every week.
Yeah, we'll get that technical thing worked out from now on for 8 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, it's probably a little on my end too, so I got to make sure that my connection is up to par and everybody. But Yeah, I mean, you know, what I'm expecting from you on a weekly basis is you using this just like everybody else as a platform to address the community, to talk about things that are good and bad, things that you guys want to improve on. This is your time, your microphone, your stage to address everybody. So I appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Guys, if everybody in town could do one thing, you see a kid in a Templeton football shirt, congratulate them on what they went through and how hard they worked to actually get to play a game. Pat them on the back, figurative or literally, you know, however you feel about doing it. But those kids, I mean, my hat is off to them. I mean, I am so proud of them. And whether we win a game or not, they're absolute 100% champions, and just to get here.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's pretty cool. You're right. And you know, we'll get these kids pumped up. We'll congratulate them. We'll show them the love. The community is going to be waving the flags. Are they going to be doing any kind of team meal together? Like
We're working on all that. Yeah.
Okay.
They will get it after practices on the Thursdays. There'll be some type of meal, but we're working on the one they usually get to do. Oh yeah. And then I just got reminded that all the parents got sent an email, and it's out on Facebook on the Templeton High School Football Eagles Facebook page about buy your fan gear. There's lots of fan gear out now that just specifically for the fans.
Yeah, I put the link on the feed earlier. I'll do it again. But I think Stacy can probably answer this better than you or I. There's probably a time limit of.
Yeah, it's on there. I think it's next week.
Get your orders in.
If you want to wear it by this, I think it'll be ready for the second home game. Yeah.
Yeah, 3/14 is the deadline.
Yeah,
So there,
yeah.
the link's in the comments. Awesome. All right, it's 8:59. You probably have a class to go teach.
Yes, I do, sir.
All right, Coach. I appreciate your time. Thanks.
Anytime, Mike. Thank you very much.
All right, see ya.
Bye.
All right, Coach Don Crow, head varsity coach of Templeton High School, the head of the football program for our community high school. So, Mr. Crow, thank you so much. He is a longtime resident, supporter, coach, teacher, you name it. He's just, we're lucky to have that guy in our program. So that's it. The Morning Buzz was a success today. We survived. A little bit of connectivity issues here on some of this stuff, but you know, to recap, Eric Lewis joined us. He did some history stuff with us. Coach Crow, obviously. Mr. Mack talked about Boys State and announced the winner of Boys State. So thanks, Mr. Mack, for coming on. And let's see, Mr. Asplund and Mr. Burnett were able to give us some updates as far as the district goes. What I'm going to spend some time doing today is chopping up some of these interviews and putting them on the Facebook page so you guys can you know, go individually to each interview if you'd like to. I've got a bunch of links that I need to share. I need to share the Templeton, the fan gear for the football fan gear. Also a couple news stories that are going to get thrown on there as well. If you guys want to be a part of the Morning Buzz, I'd love for you guys to be involved as much or as little as you'd like to be, but send me an email. It's morningbuzzaroundtown@gmail.com. Also, you can follow the Facebook page or DM me as well. Tomorrow, it looks like we might have to call an audible during the middle of this show. I got a text from someone saying that they are canceling on me tomorrow. So, but we're going to have some fun things to do tomorrow. We have an out and about segment that we're going to talk about as things start to open up, all of the wonderful things that we can be doing out and about over the weekend. Lots of wineries starting to have live music again, craft breweries, all kinds of fun stuff going on in the community, as well as plenty of opportunities to volunteer with a lot of these youth sports and high school sports coming up. So if you do want to get your fix of watching some of these sports, and while we have limited or no fans allowed in to watch these sports, we do have opportunities for volunteers to be at the events and working, but also watching. So it's a great way to get involved with the community, to help out, and also be there to root on the kids. So it's Wednesday, hump day. happy Wednesday. Hope everybody does well today and stays positive and motivated. We got a little rain that's trickling down here and there. Sun's peeking through. So it's going to be a good day. And again, the word of the day for me is thankfulness. I'm just thankful for all of the things that I have in my life. And while my life doesn't go exactly as planned, like all of us, I am thankful for the things that are in my life. So I'll leave you guys with that. It's 9:02. We've gone a little long. Thanks again for joining us on the